Hey guys, Kavina the coach here. I'm not sure about those flashing lights over there, but we're gonna try. So I'm gonna do this video today because um, there have got to be other adoptees that feel this way. So the title of this video is going to be what not to ask someone who was adopted. So there are, hold on, let's make it so the light doesn't fluctuate. So there are a lot of laws in the United States to protect women who give up babies, and there are a lot of laws in the same breath to protect women who adopt babies. But the really ironic thing is that there aren't any laws to protect those of us who were adopted. There aren't any laws that help us or leave a breadcrumb trail for us to get back to where we came from. It's odd, right? It's for the children, but all the lies are all the laws, which end up being lies, are to protect the children. Now, don't get me wrong, some people have great adopted stories. I know two people close to me in my life who have really excellent adopted stories. But for all the great adopted stories that you hear, there are probably 5 more nightmares to every one. So not every adopted story is great, and I'm not the only one who has been through what I've been through as an adoptee. So for those of you who don't know, I'll catch you up. I was adopted by a white family, supposedly at birth. There's no way to be sure. I don't have any adoption papers. I did not find out that I was adopted until I was 32. I found out that my dad wasn't my real dad at 14 by accident, and then I found out again by accident at 32 that my mother wasn't my real mother. So if you want to hear the backstory of that, then you have to go to some of the other videos, because that's not really the point of this video. So the point is really that I found out when I was 32 that my mother wasn't my real mother. And so here's the question I get asked all the time. Well, aren't you trying to find your real family? Don't you want to know who your biological family is? So actually, even my friend who is adopted, who was raised in Alaska, kind of gets exhausted with this question because he had a great upbringing and he's not interested in finding his birth family. So for me personally, so here's the thing. I'm 41 now, so that was 11 years ago when I found out that I was adopted and technology wasn't quite what it is. And I did actually actively seek out, to find my birth family. So here's the thing. If a child is adopted in a closed adoption, it's almost impossible. So supposedly I was born in Dallas. That's what it says on my birth certificate. My mother's sister said that I was born in a Baptist hospital. So I called like every Baptist hospital in Dallas. And they told me that they only keep records a certain amount of years back. So I started calling adoption agencies. Well, so one woman at an adoption agency apparently had just adopted a child, and she was really intrigued by my story. She was like, I'll tell you whatever I can if you will answer some questions for me once we're done with that. I was like, yeah. So basically, she told me that in the United States, when a couple adopts a baby, they basically give them a birth certificate to fill in any way they please. Can you just let that sink in for a second? When a couple adopts a child from overseas, part of the agreement is that they are mandated to expose the child to their culture of origin. So the problem with white families adopting black children in the United States is that they don't feel that there's any kind of different culture to consider when we consider a white American child to a black American child, and that's just not the truth. This is not about, this isn't a racist thing, although the family that adopted me could be said to be racist. It's just about, it's impossible for me to identify as white. I'm not Meghan Markle. I'm not going to be mistaken as a white child, although they did try to pass me off for white until I found out the truth. People are like, how did you know? You look at yourself. So that's the thing. So a white parent should be required to expose their black child to black culture, which they're not. Basically, though, so an adopted family gets a birth certificate that they can fill in any way they want. So I have a birth certificate that says, so my birthday might not even be my real birthday. When I say supposedly adopted, because I don't really know where I came from, they gave them a blank birth certificate. I could have come from anywhere. They could have stolen me for all I know. I don't know, really, at all. I don't know my true birthday. I don't know where I truly came from. None of that. So they give a couple a blank birth certificate to fill in any way they want. If it was a closed adoption, the records are sealed by the court. It doesn't even matter if it's closed or an open adoption. The odds of me finding the people that gave me up for adoption are about 98-2. Because they would actually have to be actively searching for me as well. Because the only way I can get those documents, people are like, well, haven't you tried to look? Guys, come on. So I have to know where I was born first, and I don't really. Then I have to petition the court to unseal my record. In order to petition the court to unseal my record, I have to know the last name of my birth mother, which I don't. I don't know anything about my birth family. So you see the dilemma. So that was back when I was 32. So, not 11 years ago. Sorry, I can't do math. It's early in the morning. So back when I was 32, so 9 years ago, and things have changed a lot now. There's people like, oh, what about 23andMe, blah, 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 blah. So Ghana is, in 2001, Ghana did a repatriation, in 2000, Ghana did a repatriation for the descendants of slaves campaign. So they were inviting the dysphoria of the slavery back and offering them passports. So I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. So before I would take a step to do something like that, I want to know if I have any ancestral blood that comes from Ghana. So that was why I started researching these geno programs. And that was when I discovered how how far this stuff has come, and that people are actually finding all sorts of family members this way. That actually led me to a site for adopted families and adoptees that are searching for each other, and the search is free. So, it was just in the process, because I was comparing, the lighting is really bad. I was comparing the different geno programs. So that was what led me to this adopted site. And so I entered in my information, or what I know to be my information, and I had 4 people pop up with like a 98% possibility match. So it's been a lot of years since I found out that I was adopted, and I thought that that at least I had some solid scar tissue over that wound. So this happened about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. So I thought that I had done a lot of healing, and I ended up curled up in a ball in tears underneath my desk at work. Yeah, so here's the thing, and I've had a lot of people try to refer back to the Antwone Fisher story to me. They're like, oh, Antwone Fisher story. Guys, it's a movie. This is real life. It doesn't work like that in real life. So, and he was of an age that he could remember. I was a baby, so I don't really have any recollection at all. Anyways, So, and a huge difference, and something that you should really consider, is that you need a support system when you're digging into such traumatic events. I didn't realize how traumatic it was for me still until I had the possibility of finding my mother looking me in the face. I just don't have that thick of a support system. I really have one best friend. I have a periphery, a surfacey layer of friends, but deeply I only kind of have one friend, and he's living his own life right now. So I don't have a support system. So you find out something good, or you find out something bad, or you find out something neutral, you really need a support system when you have that kind of emotion tied to it. There's really, really deep emotion tied to this that I didn't really realize still existed. So what's the point of this video? So I had to stop searching. I don't have the, good Lord, the exposure is really bad. And it's still pretty bad. So I had to stop searching because I recognized that if something really bad happened, I need a support system, and a makeshift online support system isn't going to do it for me. I really need a physical, present support system. So I've actively stopped looking for my birth family. Do I want to know who they are? Of course I do. Of course I do. Am I actively searching? No, because I recognize that good or bad, I need a support system, and I just don't have that, and I can't afford to expend that type of energy on salving my wounds. So I just kind of have to move forward on that. So here's the question. Stop asking, or here's just what to stop asking. Stop asking people, don't you want to find your birth family? It's not that simple. It really isn't. It's not that simple. And even if people have a support system, it's not that simple. And it's a very emotional thing. And some people just don't want to find their families. And those of us that do, it's not that simple. So it's a very sensitive subject. I've been thinking about it all weekend. It's a very sensitive subject. Just keep it in mind next time you encounter somebody that says that they were adopted. I'm sorry for the intense exposure. I'm really not this complexion. That light coming out of that window is intense. So it'll be better next time. So wishing you love, light, peace, and joy. Camina the Coach. Until next time, peace.